I'm on my way that way.
Okay, be careful. Okay, bye-bye. Hello.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We're gonna get started in a few more minutes.
Good morning.
Thanks for being on the call this morning.
Hey, Robbie.
Hey.
I just want to let you know that Lacey and I have a bunch of stuff going on. So she's in an event with Iffy Ike right now, and I'm holding it down for both of us for Michigan Voice.
Okay, that's what's up.
And I don't know why it's still saying. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. It's good to see your face. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too. I just want to tell you thank you for all of your wonderful work. I'm so proud of the things that you do. And I was in a workshop the other day and you came up and we were listening to you speak. And I was like, you know what? My mother, my grandmother, and my grandfather were all domestic workers. And so the work that you do is just so powerful. So I just want to tell you thank you. I never, ever get to see you again. I want to tell you that now.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. That's beautiful.
You're welcome.
We still got lots of work to do.
We do. And just so y'all know, my name is not Mary Helen Brady. I'm using a work computer. My name is Sean Irving.
I was like, you don't look like a Mary Brady, but we'll go with this.
Nah.
Nah.
Negative.
Morning, Demetria.
Good morning.
Good to see your face, my dear. Okay, I'm going to turn my video off for just 1 second. I got to troubleshoot some stuff, but I'll be back and I'm still on the phone.
Absolutely.
Word. And so we'll probably get started in a couple minutes. There's still some folks getting on now.
Version of this passenger side and the driver's side, so you can get whichever one you're more comfortable with. Today we are going to talk through the installation of this method.
All right, so let's get this party started.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, based off of where you may be. My name's Robbie Clark. I'm the Deputy Director of the Black Futures Lab, and really excited to welcome y'all to our webinar this morning to talk about how to get involved with the Black Census Project. Dope. So today we're gonna go over. Oh, I don't know what happened there. But today we're going to talk about how to get involved with the Black Census Project, who our main contacts are. We're going to start off with a welcome and a little check-in, a little roll call, see who's on, go into an overview of the Black Futures Lab. And then whoever's shuffling papers, if you could mute yourself real quick. Thank you. Well, there's a lot of background noise. If anybody that has background noise can mute themselves, that would be super helpful. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna get into. You're not muted, whoever has background noise. So we're gonna get into the Black Futures Lab, the Black Census Project. We're gonna talk about the opportunities for partnership. We're gonna have some question and answers, and then we're gonna get in the next step. So just a quick roll call. If folks could just say your name and the state that you're in, and the organization that you're with. Let's see, who wants to start? I'm gonna go to this little box and start calling on people.
So I'm Dina Walker. I'm in California. I'm with Blue Educational Foundation as part of the African American Civic Engagement Project in Cali.
That's what's up. Thanks for joining.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is LaShawn Irby. I'm in Michigan, and I'm representing Michigan Voice and Black Lives Matter Lansing and Black Lives Matter Michigan.
Hey, this is Rihanna. I am the Southern Regional Organizer for Black Lives Matter. I'm currently in Nashville, Tennessee, and originally from Houston, Texas.
Hey everyone, my name is Alexis Anderson Reed, and I'm the Deputy Director with the Funders Committee for Civic Participation, and I am based in DC.
All right. Let's see, who else do we have on? I see.
Hi.
I can go up.
Okay. Hello, my name is ACG. I'm in North Carolina with Ignite NC.
Oh.
Okay, I am UM Navarro. I am with Socioanalytical Research and a cousin, I guess, of the Black Futures Lab.
Definitely.
Hey y'all, I'm Max Boykin with the Black AIDS Institute. I'm based in Atlanta, but I travel all over, and we're based in about 13 different states.
Oh.
Hey y'all, this is Candace Montgomery. I'm based in Minneapolis. I'm with Black Lives Matter Network, as well as Black Visions Collective here in Minneapolis.
Hey y'all, Kevin Cosney, African American Civic Engagement Project, California Calls, in California.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carmela Gadsden. I'm from Make It Work, Nevada in Nevada.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Crosby, and I'm in California with the last 3%.
Hey, this is Dee Dee. I'm in North Carolina, in Durham, North Carolina. I'm with Ignite ITSE.
Hi, I'm Beth Glenn. I'm with the Journey for Justice Alliance, spread out in 30 cities across the USA. But I'm in Virginia.
Hey, can people hear me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, this is Kamal Franklin. I'm in Georgia. I work for Pro Georgia. I'm the redistricting campaign manager.
Hi, my name is Khalif Ali. I'm in Pittsburgh. I'm the Director of Public Policy and Advocacy with the Pittsburgh Foundation.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that everybody?
And hey, everybody, this is James Woodson from California Calls and the African American Civic Engagement Project in California.
Oh. All right, cool. Is that everybody?
We actually have Lizzie from Senator Harris's office, and is not having mic capability right now, but representing from Senator Harris's office in San Francisco, been doing research and outreach to prepare for the 2020 census, and would love to hear more about the Black Census Project.
Awesome. Welcome. Great. Anybody else on the team want to just check in real fast?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Demetria Huntsman. I'm the Director of Operations and Finance for Black Futures Lab.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alicia Garza, and I'm the principal for the Black Futures Lab.
Awesome. So thanks everybody for sharing where you're from and where you at. We're gonna keep it moving, and I'm gonna pass it over to Alicia to talk to us a little bit about the Black Futures Lab.
So good morning. We're really excited to have you all joining us, and we just wanted to do a brief overview of the Black Futures Lab, which contains the Black Census Project and a number of other experiments that we're running to try and figure out how we civically engage Black people given our current conditions and some of the changes in demographics in our communities. So I want to start off just by saying that the Black Futures Lab is a vehicle that aims to transform Black communities into constituencies that build power in cities and states. And our goal is to develop the capacity of Black communities to live powerfully and to access the things that all of us deserve to thrive and survive. We have a number of different experiments that we're running in order to test out different ways to build independent, progressive Black political power in cities and states. One of those experiments is the Black Census Project, which you'll hear more about in just a few minutes. The other kind of set of experiments that we're running is called the Black to the Future Public Policy Institute, where we hope to use some of the data that we've collected from 200,000 Black folks from diverse communities around the country to really inform our ability to build the capacity of grassroots leaders in Black communities to legislate solutions to the challenges that we face. So what we want to be able to do is close the gap between the people and the decisions that are made over our lives. We also have some things that we're doing to experiment with how we use culture to engage Black people civically in ways that are authentic and genuine. And we're also looking at ways to close the gap between elected officials and communities. So if we're thinking about what it means to govern over the long term, it means that we have to change the relationship of government to the people and also people to the government. And so we're working on a series of experiments that will help us in that realm. If you want to hear more about what's going on with the Black Futures Lab more broadly, we're happy to talk with you about that after this call or outside of it. But we certainly wanted to give you a broader overview of what we're up to. And now I'm going to turn it over to Robbie to talk with us a little bit more about the Black Census Project.
Awesome. Great. And so, so our Black Census Project is the first project of the Black Futures Lab. Our goal is to collect 200,000 responses from Black people throughout the nation to hear from and lift up the needs and desires of our communities. We get talked about a lot. Black interests get talked about a lot. And a lot of time it's not Black people doing it. And so we wanted to do this project and are doing this project to lift up the stories of Black people, and especially really wanting to lift up the stories of Black folks whose voices are even further marginalized. So really the voices of folks who are incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, the voices of our transgender community, lesbian, gay, bisexual, gender oppressed community, gender nonconforming folks, the voices of Black immigrants, and also the voices of Black folks who are in small towns and rural areas. So that's really where we're focusing our field program for the Black Census Project. Today we launched February 26th. Oh, somebody said woo woo. I heard a little woo. Okay.
Woo woo.
Get that woo woo woo, you know. So we launched February 26th, and so far we've collected 5,000 surveys, which to mention is still the largest number of surveys collected just about Black people in modern history already. And so, so that's great. And we're asking for each partner organization to commit to 1,200 surveys. And we are putting 100 organizers on the ground in partnership with a number of organizations across the country. And so some of the things that, we really wanted to take the time on this call to do for some folks that some organizations we've already engaged with, and then also for new organizations, is really to lift up some of the values that we have as a Black Census Project that really extend from the values that we have at the Black Futures Lab and are really a part of the ways that we're trying to contribute to Black organizing in the nation. And so first off, we really want to make sure that the folks that we're partnering with are genuinely rooted in the community. Sometimes there's, organizations that might advocate on behalf of Black people, but not really be engaging Black people. And so we really want organizations that, really have a track record of serving the needs and interests of Black people. And that's like really important for us, and that folks are doing work that's relevant to Black people and relevant to the base that they serve. And also that this work is improving the material conditions of Black people. The second value is affirming all Black lives matter. And so, as I mentioned before, there are priority constituencies that we're really trying to reach with this survey. And really, we want organizations that value the unique and varied experiences of all Black people. And so, part of the reason why we are prioritizing building with organizations that are organizing the most excluded sectors of our community is because, a lot in Black organizing, we don't really see that type of representation, right? We want to push back on the kind of like these notions of like respectability and these notions of like one monolith of Blackness and embrace as much of the varied experiences that we have as Black folks as we can with this project. Next is, building power, is our strategy. And this is really about specifically, trying to, or building with organizations that are attempting in a number of different ways to build power in the many ways that we can build it, right? We know about electoral power. Some of us know about disruptive power or, you know, power that we have economically, right? Cultural power, narrative power. There's a number of ways that we can build power. And really that's a key part of our strategy. And we want to ensure that we're building with partners who understand the importance of building power. And that's explicitly a part of the work that they're doing as well. Our other piece is really about investing in Black leadership. Again, like, you know, kind of going back to the point of there being a number of organizations that may serve Black people, but there might not be Black folks in leadership and decision-making roles. And so, you know, we really want to prioritize building with organizations that have authentic and visible Black leadership. And that the organization is really centering and valuing Black leadership and the decision-making of Black folks. We also want to be able to make an impact, right? And so, you know, really partnering with organizations that have a track record of achievements, especially achievements that advance the interests and the needs of Black people. And that, you know, the organization has the capacity to partner with us. We're going to get into a little bit more of the specifics of what that looks like, and that the organization just has the ability to do that, the ability to hire someone, to stipend someone, to support them. Our next value is word is bond, you know, so, I mean, I think, you know, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? But, you know, just that there's a commitment to communication and following through and showing up in an honest and accountable way. Connected to our next value, which is about action and reflection. So really being committed to evaluating the work that we're doing together, and being committed to being a part of that process as a partner. And last but definitely not least, we have the value of just like no fuck shit. Like, and we all know, I believe, what fuck shit is. But specifically, we're talking about, you know, not wanting to, and we're not going to partner with organizations that have a history or reputation of not playing well with others, or of erasing the work of other people, or invalidating other people's work, or making false claims, right? That we're not going to work with organizations like that. And we feel like that's really, really important, because what we're trying to build with the Black Census Project, and I think with the lab overall, is a more genuine approach to organizing that really values the things that are most important to us. And it's really crucial that we're able to build long-term relationships that are really based off of trust. And when things like that happen, then, you know, there's no trust. And so that's deeply important. That's deeply important to us. So that's an overview of our values. And then the next piece that we're going to get into, so the next piece gets into, and for some of you on the line, some of you have heard about our field program, but this next piece gets into the kind of areas, the geographic areas that we're prioritizing. I named earlier working with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people, transgender, gender nonconforming, and gender oppressed people, Black immigrants, and also Black folks in small towns and rural areas. Those are kind of like our constituent priorities. These states are our geographic ones. And so we are building with organizations to establish what we're calling our key mobilizing partners in these 20 states. And the organizations that we partner with in these states will get resources directly from the Black Futures Lab to stipend an organizer to be on the ground for 12 weeks to collect surveys in their cities and towns. And they will also be trained to do that as well. And then just to give a bigger sense of the project network. And so, you know, like, even though those are our states that we're focusing on for where we're going to be putting resources, those aren't the only states where people are going to be collecting surveys. And being a part of the project and the net and the kind of Black Census project overall doesn't mean that you just have to be in those states, and doesn't mean that you just have to have people on the ground door knocking in order to be a part of this project and to collect these responses. And so this just shows, what all the different folks that are part of the Black Census Project. And so starting off with the Black Futures Lab and our core partners, you heard Juhim introduce himself earlier, from Socioanalytica Research, along with Demos and Color of Change, our other core partners that are working with us to implement this project. And then we have our key mobilizing partners. And those are the partners that I described earlier that are in those key states that are mobilizing those primary constituencies that I mentioned earlier. And then we have mobilizing partners that are in other states. So we've been talking to the folks in Nevada, for example, about being a mobilizing partner. So even though they're not in a key state, they still have organizers that want to hit the ground and want to collect these responses from Black folks. And then we have our endorsing partners. And so endorsing partners may be partners that are not exactly organizers and they don't do organizing work, but they're interested in sharing the census with their network. And then just to summarize that, all the folks that are on here that fit into these different categories, they all get access to the data of the responses that we're collecting. And so everyone will have a survey collection goal. Everyone gets help. Everyone's expected to uphold the integrity of the survey itself, and I'm sure Juhim is happy that I'm saying that as a sociologist. But upholding the integrity of the survey, especially in face-to-face communication, is really important to make sure that the results are not biased. And we're asking everyone to uphold the values of our Black Census Project. So this chart just gives a little bit, oh, didn't mean to do that yet. But this chart just gives a little bit more of the breakdown between the key mobilizing partners, the mobilizing partners and the endorsing partners, and just some of the kind of like key pieces of work. And so whether or not people are in the states, the kind of key criteria that we have around the priority constituencies, who's eligible to get funds directly from us at the Black Futures Lab, who's eligible for training, face-to-face training, that everyone will have access to some tech support. Everyone can collect surveys. Everyone.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing this.
Hello? Okay. Everyone can collect surveys at events or collect surveys online. And so, yeah, so that's the Black Census Project, and that's what partnership looks like. Now we're going to get to some Q&A. Folks can feel free to just ask your questions, or if you'd like to also add things to the chat box, you can do that as well.
This is Esperanza Turvalon Garrett. Thank you so much for inviting me to this and all of us to this amazing presentation. Just super, super inspiring and innovative and thoughtful. And so just want to thank you all, your whole team, for your innovation and really thinking about how to do this work in partnership in a good way. I had a couple little questions just to clarify. The first is, when you partner with organizations, are they receiving C3, C4 funds? Can you talk a little bit about the amount of political money that might be available, or what that political partnership might look like? And then I'm also curious, you said folks have access to the survey. Do they get access to only the surveys that they collected, or is there like a state sharing kind of survey?
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really good question. So first, to start off, the money that we're granting to organizations for the field plan is C3. I think that Alicia can probably talk about and there would be more work for us to talk about partnering around some of the other parts of the lab, but specifically for the Black Census. It's been C$3. The other part of the question that you had was about the data. And so the data, there's a few different types of data. There's 3 different kinds of data that partners have access to. One piece of the data is the data around just who's responding, like what the demographics of the who are the people who are responding, what are their demographics. That's access that folks will have in real time to the database. The second piece, and this is specific to each organization, is access to the contacts. So at the end of the survey, there is the option to check a box to be added to the Black Futures Lab list. There's an option to check a box to be added to a third-party organizations list. And anyone who says that they want to be added to the contact list, every organization will have access to those contacts. Those are organization specific. And then the third piece, which is I think what your question is about the actual responses, and the responses that we collect from people all over. And the way that we're going to be sharing that out is that everyone will have access to all of those responses. So even if you're in one state or, or in a couple different states, you'll still have access to the national level data. Cool, was that?
I'm sorry, I was speaking on mute. There are a few other questions raised in the chat box. How did you determine who would be key mobilizing partners? There's another question, did I see Texas on the list? Because this is my home state.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Yes, really good question. So the first part about the key mobilizing partners. So when we decided where we wanted to focus in terms of the constituencies that we wanted to focus on, we looked at the data that was out there and talked to some folks about where some of our family was concentrated, right? And so what we did was, and also there was a study done by the Brookings Institute on Black cities. And so we looked at a lot of the data that was out there around where Black people are concentrated, where are there Black cities, where are there, where are Black immigrants concentrated, where are Black incarcerated and formerly incarcerated folks, et cetera, right? We looked to see where folks were concentrated, and we highlighted these different states. And so we also wanted to focus for our field plan. We wanted to focus because we knew that we had like a set of resources, and we wanted to get it out as broadly as possible, but still be able to make an impact. And so we felt like more than 20 would be way too broad for 100 organizers. And so that's the kind of first. That's kind of the analysis that led us to the 20 key state strategy. And then from there, we've been having exploratory conversations with organizations, and just to name, we're still looking for key mobilizing partners in these states. And so if you're interested and you're like, my organization organizes, Black folks that are, queer Black folks, or my organization works with a lot of formerly incarcerated people, then definitely let us know, because we're actually still looking for key mobilizing partners as well. And then I think the other question about Texas looks like that was answered, but yeah.
Hey y'all, this is Alexis Anderson-Reed with FCCP. Again, thank you so much. I've been hearing a lot about this project, and so really excited to be in the space with y'all. One, I have a quick comment and then 2 questions. I didn't see Wisconsin on the list. I'm from Wisconsin, and so I understand, the how you all selected states, but do want to make a plug But if you all need any folks there who can be one of the partners even outside of the core 20, feel free to reach out to me. So I have two questions. One, is I'm with FCCP. We're a network of about 100 funders, wondering how best for the funding community, the philanthropic community, to partner, and what investment looks like. What do y'all need? One question. And the second question I have is, we're doing a lot of work on the federal traditional census, right? And we know that that Black folks are always undercounted in the census. Going into 2010, folks were undercounted by about 4 million. A lot of times people say it's only 800,000, but it's actually 4 million Black folks who are undercounted. And this, going into 2020, I think it will be a lot less, and I think there's a lot of fears that it will be even more folks who are missed because of the citizenship question and anti-Black, anti-brown, anti-immigrant landscape and that we're in. And so which is going to mean a lot for, as we're talking about building political power around reapportionment and funding private and public funding that can go to the Black community. And so I'm wondering how you are thinking of this data being able to use to help identify where resources can go and help play a role outside of the kind of federal structure to help support maybe some of that picture of what is needed for Black folks.
Great. So thanks, Alexis, for those questions, and I'm happy to speak to all three of them, actually. One, shout out to Wisconsin, and we don't want to leave y'all out for show. As Robbie said, we did kind of choose these states based on density, but again, there is room for states that are not in that kind of core density caucus to partner and be a part of this project. So we'd love to follow up with you offline about that, because we know Wisconsin go. We understand that. On the second question of the 2020 census, we'd love to talk more about this. For us, we understand that there is always a big challenge around the 2020 census with making sure that groups that are traditionally marginalized, right, from kind of decision-making processes also get marginalized from processes around counting where we are so that resources can get directed to our communities. And we'd love to figure out a way to think through how can we use the Black Census Project to help leverage some pressure, right, on the traditional process to make sure that people are being counted. We also have partners that are doing both, right, that are trying to mobilize to get the census out into communities that are undercounted, and who are working with the Black Census Project to get some of the more qualitative data about what it is that Black folks are experiencing. So we'd love to talk with folks that are closer to the 2020 census process to see how we can best be utilized. So we'll follow up with you after the call. And then on the third question around how can donors and funders support this work, I think there's a number of different ways. So one, if you are a funder in one of the key kind of 20 states, we are actually encouraging funders to fund groups directly to be able to participate in this process, as right now the Black Futures Lab is subsidizing the participation of all of the key mobilizing partners in this work. And that means covering the cost of organizers. It means covering the cost of transportation to and from the field. It means covering the cost of training. And it also means covering the cost of troubleshooting and kind of staff and infrastructure support. So if you are in a state of one of these 20 where there are key mobilizing partners, we'd love to talk with you about what it would mean to fund those groups directly to participate. If you're a funder who is kind of interested in funding our work at a larger level, we would encourage you to give resources to the Black Futures Lab, and know that those resources are going to be kind of directed into making sure that we're able to reach 200,000 Black folks across the country. And then we can also talk more about other funding opportunities, including with the Black to the Future Public Policy Institute, where we'll be building the capacity of folks in these communities to be able to kind of legislate solutions, which means, right, that we need to garner resources to be able to train folk and to be able to move people through the process of going from idea to law, which is not a cheap process. So we can talk more about that offline, but wanted to give you those top lines as 3 ways that you can support the project now.
Great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Cool. Are there any other questions that folks have before we get into the next steps?
Hey, it's Max with the Black AIDS Institute. For organizations that have, we have a bunch of chapters in different states. Would it be possible if certain chapters wanted to partner specifically on this, and especially in some of the key states areas, for mobilizing partners, and then have almost a different role sometimes for like the national org, depending on how things are set up?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we should totally, we should have a conversation to talk more specifically about what that looks like and what that different relationship is. Like, you could definitely, like, if we're looking at this chart here, there could definitely be chapters that are key mobilizing partners that would have like specific requirements for that chapter. And then nationally, maybe you're an endorsing partner, so you have different set of requirements and a different kind of MOU that you would fill out. So we should definitely follow up. It would be really great to figure out what would work for y'all to be partners with us on this.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Cool. Are there any other questions before we move on to talk about next steps? Yes. To whatever the baby's asked. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pass it on to Demetria, who's going to walk us through the next steps.
All right, greetings everyone. So we are making this process as seamless as possible. It is going to be accessible to everyone that is interested in partnership. We are fiscally sponsored by TIDES, and so there's a process that we have to honor through TIDES, but we are definitely going to make it as seamless as possible, as I said. If everyone could draw their attention to the chat box, I've loaded in there the link to the form, to the partnership form. So that would be the first step to be able to collect the information and to profile your organization in terms of what your commitment level or your partnership level will look like. And then once you complete that form, then we will be able to start the MOU process. It really is straightforward. It outlines the terms, it outlines the agreement and the best way to show up so that we can maintain a seamless and strong partnership. Through this partnership, you're going to get unique access to the database. And let me just go back in terms of the MOU. The only thing that we would need from you is for your organization to submit a W-9, to submit a proof of tax exempt status. Again, we try to make this as seamless as possible so that we're not putting a lot of heavy demand or ask on the partner organizations. Once we finalize the MOU, you would then work with our partner Socioanalytica to set up your access to the database. You will also receive a social media toolkit, and it will support the way that you market and present and affiliate yourself with the project and Black Futures Lab. We also are inviting you to participate in an event coming up in June, My Future is Black event. and that will have more details to come. But essentially, all of these things are going to be very streamlined and very straightforward to make sure that we reach the goal of collecting 200,000 responses. We are going to be participating in biweekly phone calls with technical support, offering training, and we are able to, like I said, support the organization and all of the processing in order to get the partnership solidified. So I'll be your go-to, your key person. I'll work with your organization to make sure that everything is set up seamlessly and flawlessly, and we can get in this work together and reach the people whose voices need to be lifted.
Word, that's what's
Does anybody have any questions about the process? Okay, thank you. And I'm always available if anybody wants to follow up with me directly. And as soon as we get into this process, I'll be reaching out.
All right, thank you. So yeah, so that that concludes the webinar for today. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Our organizing fellow who couldn't be on this morning, Brittany Farrell, is also a primary contact for partnerships. And so Brittany's contact information is there. So you can definitely reach out to her if you have any questions about partnership. And as Demetria mentioned, in the chat box, we have the link to the partnership form. You can fill it out there. And yeah, and you can find us on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on IG, we're on Facebook. So share the census as much as possible so we can get to 200,000. Great. So are there any other closing thoughts or things or closing questions that folks have before we officially sign off? All right. Well, happy Friday. Go get your Friday and your weekend on. And thank you so much for, starting your day or making us a part of your midday on this Friday. And look forward to building with you all. So yeah, much love.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Peace out.